Alright, good afternoon. So, this arrived a few days ago, the Folklore Affliction Adventure Creation Kit. It also came with Storybook 3. Storybook 2 is in the expansion set. Storybook 1 comes with the original Folklore Affliction. There's also a original first edition. This is, by the way, for first edition. I don't think it'll be a problem. I don't think there's a lot of big changes that would be a problem for me to adapt. But let's take a look at this. So storytelling, who's your audience, sharing with the community. There's a way to share your story ideas, etc. Mostly I would want to create, first and foremost, I'm going to want to create characters that I can play in the stories. Maybe create my own stories, but also monsters, beasts. So it even has story design considerations, understanding the thematics. Pretty interesting. It talks about story maturity, narrative depth, foreshadowing, building tension. Very interesting. Single stories versus campaigns, so that's kind of fascinating. Mob style combat versus tactical combat, puzzle solving, logical puzzles, exploration. I mean, really, this is you could take all these books and combine them into one hardback book, and you would have a tabletop role-playing game. That obviously requires the cards and things, but this is very much has everything in it that you would want to see in a Dungeon Master's Guide or the GM's portion of a tabletop role-playing game. Pretty interesting. Obviously, this is also catered to designing stories for the actual game system. Pretty interesting. Skill checks. It gives you all your bonus skills being tested and your percentage chance of success, so it's a cheat sheet to know how tough the skill checks are. Primary goals, secondary encounters, adventure maps. They have an actual blank grid paper, 1-inch grid paper that you could draw your maps up on. Adventure hooks, which is interesting. Let's see what one of these are. You roll these. By the way, these are random tables, so you can create your stuff randomly. So again, I could create my own quick story maps with random rolls, and then just work through the random without the narrative flavor, right? Random tiles by biome. Interesting. Random creatures by type. Sandbox story tables. How about that? Sandbox story tables. Now we're getting somewhere. Story starters, story conflicts, story elements, and plot twists. Often you already have an idea for a great story, but sometimes you might need help getting from one point to another. So this really is walking you through creating stories. Creating assets. Now this is what I mostly wanted it for. Making characters, making creatures. So archetypes. There's bounty hunter, citizen, explorer, mentalist, mythologian, religious order, savage, survivalist. It gives you their living from, their featured starting skills, their ghost form, their keywords, their mystic knowledge. Write-ups for those. Fascinating. Character keywords. So keywords, when you pull an ability or you level up and you get to choose an ability, or you on that card will have a keyword, and that's how you know your character can use it. Holy or witch hunter or whatever the keyword may be lets you know you can use that ability. Faux creation, creating a creature and affliction creation. Choose the creature type, choose the name, etc. Cards. This is for creating cards, so that's cool. Supplemental lore. Oh wow, look at this. So Kreml. Towns. The world concept, castles and estates, so very good. Cave system, major graveyards and tombs, forests, dark magic, sorcery, mortals, nature, shapeshifters, vampires, creature origins. Then we have randomized card tables to randomly create cards, ability cards. So I could roll these up to create character ability cards randomly, which is very cool. The following tables list all the ability cards to date. Oh, from the game. So these are literally a list of all the ability cards that are in the game. But again, you could roll these randomly instead of having cards. So that's kind of neat. Ironically, again, if you're not using cards, this is the stuff people would scratch on their character sheet in lieu of a card, and we're playing this just like a tabletop RPG without the use of cards, etc. Right? They'd randomly roll and they get Stratagem, the type, and it's active once per combat 1. Right? Keyword any. Very interesting. Random artifacts, random companions, random items, recipe augments, protective, random mystical knowledge, off-road event choices. So very, very interesting. So when you create your story, you can roll one of these charts, and that's the random card that would be given to them for maybe an item they gain or something. The Faux Library, Angry Mob. So here we have our bestiary, right? The Faux Library. These are all the creatures that are in the game, summed up in the in this little book. I paid $15 for this. It came with the Storybook 3 and a bookmark. This very cool little bookmark, 14, 15 bucks. So I think well worth it for limitless opportunity to create or to play folklore. So amazing. So we have stables, physician. These are all of the advanced town services. So the apothecary, lots of services at the apothecary in the advanced town. Chapel, gypsy encampment, market. Boy, look how much is in the market. Really, truly remarkable product. Again, I'm not certain when this was developed and exactly sold. I think 2016 or so, maybe it finally came out. I've only discovered it in the last 2 weeks. I put a halt on my actual first session, on my first game with Caleb and Bartram, because I have a couple of issues. One, I'm working a lot and I'm writing Dark Age of Man. 2, it takes up this entire table. I have no room to do anything else, and getting it out, setting it up, and leaving it up like that with stuff everywhere is very, very difficult, as it takes up my whole table. So what I'm probably, and now is, and of course I'm just beginning to learn the game, so I think what I'll end up doing is creating my own archetypes and my own characters and start all over from the beginning. But I just wanted to share that. Very cool. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.